Welcome to the Money Watch Show. It's Sunday, May 11th, which means it is Mother's Day. So, Mom, happy Mother's Day. Mark Talercio is my co-host. Do you want to wish your mother and your wife a happy Mother's Day?
Happy Mother's Day to everybody out there, to my mother, to Amanda. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to you, Jill.
Oh, thank you. Mother of terriers. Thank you very much. I wanted to use this opportunity of Mother's Day to have a conversation with Mark to kind of help some of the mothers out there help themselves. And what do I mean by that? Well, we know that there are a lot of folks who are working moms who are really struggling. And when I say that, they're not struggling like, you know, every day I toil, it's so hard. Some of them are, but a lot of our listeners, they are struggling with this idea of feeling like a failure at both being a mom and also being somebody who is a worker, an employee, even a high level employee. And I wonder, like, Mark, do you think that Amanda has that feeling sometimes like, oh, sometimes I feel like I wish I could be a better mom versus I had to work so much? Like, how does she balance this out?
She balances that out via me.
Well, I mean, but she has her own feelings about it, right?
Yeah, I don't think she feels like a failure. She's pretty good. I mean, you know, and also I think Theo understands. Theo knows that mom has a busy job that requires a lot of attention and she can't always be there and she has to travel a lot. So he gets it. He knows what's going on. So he's never like holding it against her. Does she ever feel it personally? I don't think so. It's not like she's missing any birthday parties or any events at school. She makes time for all of it. She does a good job of balancing.
I think that one of the things that I've learned in listening to people who come onto the program and listening to people who are financial advisors tell me about how their clients feel, it is a real struggle to make sure that you are doing enough to feel like you're allowing yourself that, like you're almost giving yourself space to do that. So can I get a little unga bunga with everyone that there is something about giving yourself the permission to do both of these things is important. And you actually have the ability sometimes to grant yourself that permission. Sometimes you call us to do it, but we don't need to do that. We need you to do that. The other thing that I think happens is that people who have their work life, they really have a hard time figuring out how to balance this need for, hey, I want to make money. I have to make, but then how much is enough? Mark, we hear about this all the time, that we have so many people who come on the program and they're like, I've worked my whole life and now I don't know if I'm okay. Like, am I okay to actually say I want to do something different, or I want to go on a different path, or I want to have an off ramp? And sometimes I think what we really need to do is help each other. And I'm going to say all of us, like the mothers, the fathers, the partners, to help anyone out there to kind of find what is your reason for doing all of this. That is what I think is important, because I think that when you're in the grind of every day, you lose that. So why am I doing this? And I think about it with myself, like, why am I doing this? Why am I driving myself crazy? I love doing this podcast. I love doing my other podcast. I love doing my radio show. But then I got this TV thing and it tugs at me all the time. And the news cycle makes me nuts. And every day, Mark, what do I say to you? I say, I'm over this news thing.
I cannot wait. The end cannot come soon enough.
For you and for me. And that doesn't mean I don't love it and it hasn't given me incredible opportunity. But it really is it's like it is it's like a drain. And, again, I was talking about that I was at this conference recently out in LA with a bunch of incredible financial advisors, women. And one of the things that they talked about was, how do you reduce the power drains? Like your power, you only have so much power, time, energy. How do you reduce those drains? Now, some people, you're not going to be able to reduce it because you can't right now. But where you can reduce it, where can you pull away that draining feeling that is sapping you of your own power? That to me is really important. Now, I'm not talking about, go hire someone to clean your house, which if you can afford it is amazing. Great. Go for it. But I mean, even just the idea of at work, what is the thing that is draining you? Or with your kid, what is the thing that's draining me? Am I not asking for the thing I need? And I think this is incredible. It is an important thing to like remind yourself that you don't have to make everything work for yourself and for your family and for your work. You can ask for help. The problem is with these high-powered people, and high-powered can be like, doesn't mean like you're making the most money. It can be like you're high-powered, you're like the greatest federal employee that has managed to hang on to her job. It can be that you're the greatest teacher. Like you're high-powered, you're achieving in your whatever structure you're in. What is it that you can do that we can foster, what we can grow, what can we do to kind of help you along your way? So the thing I want to remind all of you is that you've got to essentially ask for help when you need it. Sometimes we are that help. So don't forget, if you have a question, you go to JillOnMoney.com, click the contact us button, write us a note. And when you get to the end of that form, you can check a box which says, do you want to be on the program? We want you to come on the program. We want to walk through this. I am so devoted to empowering women in their lives. I mean, guys, I want to help you too. God bless you. And you've never seemed to have a real problem coming on and reaching out to us. I think that there are so many people, especially on this Mother's Day, I'm just going to devote this show to a little bit about how I think women can sometimes shortchange themselves. So, Mark, let me do this. When we come back from the break, I want to talk a little bit about how we want women to not, I want you to reduce the power drain, but then I want you to engage in the things that can help you. And one of those things that can help you is your money. So let's go for a quick break and come on back on the other side. Okay, so Mark, so often we are talking to people who are at very important, maybe pivots in their lives, right? Maybe it's divorce, maybe it's the death of a spouse, maybe it's the sale of a business. And it's shocking how many people are not able to really, like they will say like, oh, I didn't do this. My spouse did everything. So talk to us about having the spouse who's really busy and how you get that spouse to get engaged. Tell us your key to your life, Mark. How do we get people who are like, I have no time for this. I can't do it. What's the game plan?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, that's kind of my life. Amanda has very little time for what I have to say. She leaves everything to me. She defers to me, but I also keep her informed. I will tell her if something, needs to be discussed. I'll grab her attention. Do we ever have like regular weekly deep conversations about this stuff? No.
I don't think weekly is necessary.
No, nor do I.
What do you do it? Annually or quarterly?
I wouldn't even say quarterly. I would say definitely for sure annually, and maybe, depending on the year, maybe twice a year. But usually at the beginning of the year, we'll have a big catch up. But she knows what's going on. She's not completely blind. She knows what I'm doing, but she can't be bothered with the little details, day to day.
Yeah, and I think that this is something that is very normal in a couple. One couple drifts towards like doing the stuff, that's an allocation of labor, but you can't abdicate your own responsibility. So if you're listening to this and you're the kind of person who's like, yeah, I don't really do that. I just want you to know that, based on life expectancy, you are likely to control the money of your family at some point in your life, right? I think there's something like this crazy stat where women are going to control $30 trillion of financial assets by the year 2030. That's a stunning statistic, 2030, $30 trillion. And so I think that if that's the case, I just want everyone to have a sense of it. Like, it's a weird thing to consider that there are all these women who are really, really bright and they're engaged and they do all this stuff in their work lives, but somehow their personal lives, it just sort of gets shunted aside. And, I think that you are devaluing yourself if you are not actually getting involved in a meaningful way, right? I mean, you just have to know what's going on in a general sense. Doesn't mean you can't outsource, but you still have to know the numbers. You have to be familiar with the numbers. And I think that the other big issue that I'd like to tackle on this Mother's Day, Mark, the issue that I love so much, which is how can we help parents, but I'm going to just say women because it's Mother's Day, make sure that they empower their kids, they help their kids, but they don't enable them. One thing I think is interesting that was pointed out to me recently, it's like, obviously in the last 5 years, housing costs have gone up dramatically, right? House prices have doubled and mortgage rates have doubled and affordability is really terrible. So how can you help your kid? Well, one way to help your kid is to say, well, I'm going to help you with the down payment. But you know what? You have to make sure you do. Don't be like, oh, I just want to help you with the bigger house that you will eventually will move into. Don't put your kids in a situation where where their lifestyle is something you have to support. So if it's the only thing they're missing in this process of, buying a home is the down payment, they still have to be on the hook for owning the home, paying for the home, maintaining the home. If they can't do that, then I wouldn't help them. I would just say, I have a certain amount of money that won't impact our lives that would help you for a down payment in the future. But you've got to make sure that whatever you buy, you can actually afford on your own. I think that's a smart way, because otherwise what's going to happen is every time they need something, they got to come to you. And then you're in that weird cycle of dependence. And that's not something I think is good for either of you. The only other thing I want to just tell folks is that, I don't know what's going to happen in the economy. I don't know what's going to happen, going forward long term. What I do know is whenever your kid does need help, you still have to look at your own financial situation and make sure that you are not derailing your own plans. Then if that's the case, I'm not going to derail them. Then you're going to start to say, how can I help them without making them dependent on me? Because I don't think that is really smart. If you can do that, then that's great. That's a wonderful outcome. You can help your kids, enjoy the money while you're still alive and seeing them enjoying it, all that fun stuff. Get involved. Find your power, baby. Come on. Happy Mother's Day. That's it. This is my devotion to my mother's. By the way, my mother is so uninvolved that it's silly that I'm giving you this advice, because essentially my mother has abdicated all responsibility, and my sister and I and my brother-in-law and Jackie, the four of us have to do everything. So I'm talking a good game, but guess what? It don't work with my 85-year-old mother. So be it. But don't make my mistake. Even with your parents, it is important to talk about these things. It is important to make sure that you understand it. And when anyone gets touchy about this, I just go for guilt. Do you want me to have to do all this? Really, Mom? Really? That's what you want to do? Mark, I think that you know my mother well enough to know that she's not one of those mothers who gets into the guilt thing. So as soon as I say that, she backs right off of whatever she's complaining about. So I'm happy about that. Use guilt. It works. All right. That's it. That is it for the program. If you've got a mother, if you've got children, if you've got anything else going on that you need help with your adult children, go to JillOnMoney.com, click the contact us button, write us a note, check the box if you want to come on the air with us. All of our content lives at that website, JillOnMoney.com. We've got another podcast called Jill on Money. We've got a blog. We've got a radio show. We've got videos. We've got books that you can buy of mine, resources, all of that. So much fun. You can subscribe to us on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your favorite podcast. Please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen. Mark Talercio is the co-host and executive producer. He's also the king of the JillOnMoney.com website. And we ask that you do something nice for someone else today. Change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Happy Mother's Day. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.